Wendy's, don't test me, I'll put you in the death squeeze, just like an orange in the summer, the fresh...
We all know Free Boy. You're a good man for your age, understands the value of family, and that's rare. When you get out, if you need a place to stay, you're welcome to stay with me for as long as you need to. That's when reality hit me. Thank you very much for the offer. I'll be sure to contact you to let you know my next move. I love you, Miss Pearly. Thank you for everything. Miss Pearly stood up, reached over the table, and gave me a nice tight hug. A hug that had feeling and passion behind it. I smiled and waited until she exited the room before I started to rush back to my cell. When I reached the cell block, it was almost silent. The only voice I heard was Buddha's. He was chanting and chanting loudly, for everyone to hear. As his words bounced from one cell to the next and graced the halls with peace and solidarity. Inmates were standing outside of their cells with their heads bowed. I didn't understand the words, but I felt the power behind them. I walked into the cell, leaving my shoes at the door, mimicked his sitting style, and repeated the words in my head. I can't say for sure how long we were chanting, but it was long enough for me to hear my heartbeat. I could hear the blood rushing through my veins, and my inner being became clear to me. I became one with myself. I know what I was put on this earth to do. I ended the chant with my own prayer. When I opened my eyes, Buddha was sitting in front of me. You saw something, didn't you? Buddha said with a smile. I did, Buddha. I did. That's great. You have reached a level that takes other people years, sometimes all of their life. What is it that I was saying? I asked Buddha, trying to peel myself off of the floor. In short, to dedicate or devote oneself in bringing to the forefront the pure energy of one's life, while we honor the dignity of our ordinary lives. I'm called Buddha, because I'm a practicing Buddhist, and these guys felt it was a good match. I believe in God. That's fine, Free Boy. You can believe in God. Did you know it's said that Jesus Christ is the Buddha of the West? I believe in God too. I practice Buddhism, so can be honest with myself, be honest with my God. Only God knows everything about us. We have to do things for ourselves to make us better people. You ever hear the scripture, faith without works is dead? Yes. What does that mean to you, Free Boy? It means that I can have faith all I want, but if I don't do anything towards my goal, I won't get anything. Correct. But before you decided to sit with me and chant, what were your plans? To figure out how to get you out with me. But I didn't know how until after I cleared my mind and heart. That's a great gesture, Free Boy. But I'm in here for life and I accept that. I did wrong, but the system spared my life, but gave me life. Well, my God said all things are possible through Christ, and thanks to Buddha, I know what I need to do, Free Boy. I don't want you wasting your life on me here. I won't waste my life on you. Buddha, you are my father now. You saved me when no one else would. It would be an honor. It seems that the last word was enough to break Buddha. He dropped to his knees, pleading for me to move on with my life, and that so many people have tried and failed. I put my hand on his shoulder and told him, those people weren't me, and we can do this if we work together. We won't know for sure if we don't try, and since it seems like neither of us is leaving, we may as well occupy our time together. That's false hope, little man. It's better than no hope at all. More days, weeks, and months went past. I turned 17 in less than a week and have already taken up college courses. I've been speaking to Ms. Pearly, letting her know how I've been, checking up on her, and I couldn't leave out Buddha. I had to tell her how much of a great man he is and how I want to be just like him. Whenever she wrote me back, she didn't seem too enthused about Buddha, but every time I wrote, I made sure that I gave him the praise he deserved, whether she recognized him or not. Although we wrote back and forth for a few months, there was still no word on my case, and they wouldn't give her too much information. I haven't spoken to an attorney, haven't seen a judge. I never seen the inside of the courtroom for my case, but I wasn't giving up. Not on my case and not on Buddha's. Buddha and I stayed in the library studying for as long as they would allow us. Then one day, he got word that there was a parole hearing scheduled for him. We looked at one another surprised, smiles on our faces, and started to act like a bunch of little kids jumping up and down. Right in the midst of our celebration, 4 guards walked into the library and told me that I was being released. Like, out of nowhere, all of this great news. I have the date, Buddha. I'll be there to speak on your behalf. Don't worry, kid. I'll be fine. You get into college, you hear? One day to be with my father isn't going to hurt my studying. I'll be there. If you don't show, I won't hold it against you. I ran over and hugged him. I hugged him like a man-child would hug their father. I told him that I loved him and I promised I'll be there. All choked up, he told me to get going and to drink an extra large milkshake in his name. I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to leave him there. He was all I had. The person that helped me become a man, and I didn't want to leave him behind these bars. He started to pry me off of him and told me to go before they changed their minds. I told him I wanted to walk out with him. Boy, if you don't stop being institutionalized, I'm going to have to put you over my knee. Now go, Buddha said sternly, pushing me away. I sucked up my tears, wiped my face, and stood tall with my chin high. He nodded, handed me a book, and turned his back so I can walk out without seeing the tears that bless his face. As I walked through the halls, I could see the mixed emotions of these men. I can see that they are happy that I'm leaving, but hurt because it's not them. I know their pain, and I know that my choice to become an attorney is the right thing to do. There was no reason I was in here this long without proper counsel, without a hearing. I was thrown in here to die, and if it weren't for Buddha, I wouldn't have made it after being stabbed. When I reached the front gates, Miss Pearlie was there waiting on me. I ran to her, almost knocking her over because I was so excited and happy to see her. Well, free boy, you're free. Yes, ma'am, I am. Where would you like to go? Remember, you can always stay with me. If you don't mind, I would like to take you up on that offer. I need an address in order for me to apply for college. Free boy! You going to college? Yes, ma'am. I want to be able to help others and pay you back for being so supportive of me while I was inside. Boy, you don't have to do that. I did that because I love you. Mies. Pearlie. Yes. Can you forgive me for all the wrong I've done? I shouldn't have been out there in those streets like that. I shouldn't have sold you that stuff. No need to apologize, because if you didn't sell it, I would have gotten it from somewhere else. I'm the one that should be apologizing to you. For what, Ms. Pearlie? I knew I shouldn't have been doing that stuff. When I saw you, I should have pulled you, your sisters, and brothers to my home and took care of you. I was being selfish, so please accept my apology. How about this? I accept yours. Will you accept mine? Yes, thank you. Now, free boy, get in this car so we can get some extra large milkshakes. I was shocked about the extra large milkshake, but I figured that's maybe what everyone wants when they get out. Before I got in the car, I took the book Buddha gave me, flipped it around to read the title, Living Buddha, Living Christ by Thich Nhat Hanh. I placed it in my bag so I wouldn't lose it. We got in the car and off to a restaurant that Miss Pearlie said has the best burgers and milkshakes. When we got there, we had a good time. The best time I've ever had outside those prison walls. We laughed, ate, drank milkshakes, and laughed some more. We laughed and ate so much I was feeling sick to my stomach and had to sit back for a minute to pull myself together. I looked outside and the sun was starting to set. I asked Miss Pearlie if it was okay if we went home because I didn't want to miss evening prayer. Her eyes opened really wide, called for the check, and told me to put my seatbelt on because we need to get home so I don't miss my prayer time. A few months went by. Miss Pearlie hasn't used any of those hard drugs, but smokes a little marijuana here and there, but it's better than the alternative. I've been writing Buddha faithfully, telling him about all the colleges I applied to, my new job at the local law firm doing research, and telling him how my employer allows me to take breaks so I don't miss my prayer times. Whenever he wrote back at the end, he always wrote for me to be polite, make sure I do all the manly things around the house, make sure I help pay my way, and not to forget to do a good deed once a day for someone I don't know. I made sure I did everything he said, and I was putting money on his books so he can get canteen. It's a small gesture to show my appreciation. The time has come. Buddha's parole hearing is today. I put on my Sunday's best, walked to the bus stop, and boarded the bus with my mail beads in hand so I can pray while I was en route to the prison. I didn't have butterflies in my stomach. I wasn't afraid of him not getting parole. I felt at peace. After an hour and a half bus ride, I get dropped off about a block from the prison gates. Without hesitation, I started to walk and chant out loud. I could hear a car coming from behind, so I stepped into the wet grass to make sure I was out of their way. Free boy, get your butt in this car. I can't, Miss Pearlie. I need to get to the parole hearing. I know, it's wet out and you should have told me. I would have brought you. I didn't want to be a bother. No bother at all. Now get in before you make us late. Sitting in the front seat confused, I didn't utter a word until we got out of the car and checked in. Thank you for being here to support me, I said to Miss Pearlie. Then a voice calls out, Pearlie Warren. Miss Pearlie stands up and these men and women started talking to her. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but I think it had something to do with Buddha. I started to think, why is she really here? Leader of the 2nd Street Gang, the man in the all-black suit mentioned. Oh no, Miss Pearlie isn't here to support me. She's here to make sure he doesn't get out. I sat with my face in the palms of my hands, crying like I did when I felt like I lost everything. Mr. Jonathan Free, another man called out, lifting my head and wiping my face in one motion. Yes, sir. That's me. Follow me, please. Yes, sir. Thank you. I followed without saying another word. There was no strength behind my walk. my head hanging low, and I feel like I've lost all faith. Right when I get through the first set of doors, I asked the gentleman if I could have a minute. He told me I have 10 minutes before the hearing starts. After that, I wouldn't be allowed in. I took off my suit jacket, pulled out my mail beads, kicked off my shoes, and sat in the corner on the floor. I yelled out a prayer to God, then went right into a chant. I needed to cleanse myself and ask for forgiveness for doubting His works, for doubting that with prayer, purpose, and perseverance all things are possible through God. By the time I was finished, I had no time to put my shoes or jacket on. I apologized for my appearance when I entered. Miss Pearlie started talking before I could sit down. Chase, or should I call you Buddha? Thank you. Your debt to me for taking my family has been forgiven. You could have done anything with and to this boy right here, but instead you dug deep down and found something greater. You turned this lost child into a man. I am here on behalf of my late family and would appreciate if this man can be set free. His debt has been paid. If he needs a place to stay, he's welcome to stay with us. As long as it's okay with Free Boy. Miss Pearlie ended with a smile. Yes, ma'am. Yes, please. Tears rolling down my eyes, I started to speak to the board members. I know he did some bad things, but I also know that he saved my life in so many ways I can't describe. He taught me the meaning of forgiveness, to forgive myself and those around me, to ask for forgiveness, and if they aren't willing to forgive me, it's okay. Chase, has showed me how to be a better man. He kept me safe and out of harm's way. He taught me that the bad things that we've done is the past cannot be fixed, but we can fix ourselves by following a more spiritual path. Chase became a father figure to me. He made sure I studied. When I passed my JET, he gave me a pat on the back and told me that my work was not done. I applied for 8 colleges and was accepted to all 8 on a full scholarship. Because of Chase. No, to me, he is Buddha. Buddha gave me something no one ever has, the understanding of faith, which provided me with hope and a future. He is the true meaning of a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva is a person who has achieved enlightenment. One that is willing to postpone their own nirvana in order to help others like me attain enlightenment. Chase is a true Buddhist. A few months passed after the parole hearing, but no word on the verdict. I'm off to Stanford University in the morning, so any information I get about Buddha will be through Miss Pearlie after tomorrow. The phone rings while I was in the middle of packing the things I purchased for the next chapter in my life. Hello, this is Jonathan. How may I help you? Free Boy, it's Buddha. Hey, have you heard anything? What's taking them so long? Patience, Free Boy. All good things comes to those that wait. I know you're leaving in the morning and I won't be able to call you. I want you to remember and know your truth, your inner truth, and stand by it. Know that you can do all things with God's help and meditation. Find your inner peace and nothing, and I mean nothing, will be able to stop you. Listen to your body. When you feel that something isn't right, don't second guess it, because you won't get a third chance. I'm proud of you, and I love you. The line disconnects. Buddha? Buddha yelling at the top of my lungs. I hung up the phone, stood in the middle of the living room floor thoughtless. I straightened up, lifted my chin to the ceiling and said to myself that I know my inner truth, and I know my inner peace. With a smile on my face, I went back to my room and continued to pack. The next morning, Miss Pearlie made me a huge breakfast before we headed to the airport. The drive seemed so long and my stomach started knotting up with fear of my new journey. I purchased Miss Pearlie a round-trip ticket so she can see where I'll be staying and get a chance to step foot on a college campus herself, since her boys never had the opportunity to make it this far. We boarded the plane and off we went. Good morning, passengers. I would like to congratulate Jonathan Free, my son, on his acceptance into Stanford University to study law. May you be forever blessed. The voice was familiar to me, too familiar. Crying like a newborn baby, I rushed through the plane looking for the person behind that voice. When I reached the entrance of the plane where the microphone is located, I stood there, frozen, stuck in this moment that I wanted to remember for the rest of my life, because today marks the start of the rest of my life. I never got a chance to tell you I love you before the phone disconnected.